Hello, I am back. Am I over my bronchitis? Not yet, but I am finally back in front of a camera and I'm going to be filming a book review. Well, 2-in-1 book review. And those books are Of Blood and Fire and The Fall by Ryan Cahill. Roll it. So I think Cahill, I think he pronounces his name Cahill, but, I'm American, so we're going to say Cahill. Okay, so the order I read these in, I know it's kind of debatable in what order you should read these in. I read Of Blood and Fire first, and then The Fall, because I've honestly never had a good experience reading a prequel before, like a prequel first. So I am 100% prequels are true prequels. Read the regular books first. So if you don't know, if you're new here, I do not use Compile because when I review, I tend to be pretty subjective. There's a lot of things that offset each other and, So, Of Blood and Fire. The big question, Ryan Cahill, people say he's the most successful self-published author of all time. Does this book hold up to to traditionally published works that are coming out now? No. 10, 15, 20 years ago, yeah, this would have easily been published, but not today. And that's just because it's overwritten. And by overwritten, I mean it's constipated. Cahill just uses way too many words to get to the point. And as you're reading, you feel like you're almost cave diving through sludge that is this prose. The prose is terrible. So, hard to read. It is hard to get through. And not in a Finnegan's Wake good way. It's constipated. So, we get the story of Kalen and his little buddies. He's a farm boy who gets a dragon egg and a cute little dragon hatches. And, so pretty basic dragon rider story. Now, what really, really annoys me about this book is everyone's always like, there's nothing new here. Why is this the only book I ever hear that criticism about? And why is that even criticism? Why does there have to be something new? I think people confuse the term new and fresh. So, fresh may take something we've seen before, dwarves and elves and Dragon Rider, and just lighten it up a bit. Just make it feel a little bit different. This felt very samey to something like Aragon or Malice by John Gwynne. But not as good. Just not very good prose and just way too many characters with not enough to do. That is a pet peeve of mine. Oh my god, the first chapter we meet the entire village. Can we not just stick to Kaylin for a little bit? No. We meet the entire village. We are taken to a proving, which is their coming of age ritual, and it's not even a big deal. They go spend the night in the forest and try to hunt something, and then all of a sudden they're a man. Spending the night in the forest, that makes you a man? Come on. So, Kalen is the chosen one. He's a special ruler of dragons. He can bond with a dragon, and it's never truly described in the book why these Dragon Rider people are such a big deal. I am a part of a lot of communities on Discord, so somebody was able to explain why it's a big deal. They used to run the world and they're powerful as heck. Personality-wise, there's really not much to Kalen. I do like him. He's a sweet guy. He's 17, 18. He's not annoying like a lot of the farm boy protagonists can be. He's lost his older brother, and he has an older sister who runs away with her boyfriend and is saved Edward Cullen-style from a rape in the middle of the street, which is super lazy writing, but that's okay. This book is not professional quality. I had too high expectations going into it, and that is my fault. Now, I heard between Of Blood and Fire, The Fall, and Of Darkness and Light, Cahill got a much needed editor. So I will continue with Of Darkness and Light. So I gave Of Blood and Fire 3 stars just from the bad prose. Too many characters was not enough to do, but I really, really liked the ambiance. And it felt very medieval. It felt really cozy in like a something is seriously gonna go wrong. Something's gonna disturb this cozy environment. And it was just like that classic fantasy that I liked from childhood. This, I wouldn't say is a young adult book, but it definitely reads kind of like it could be YA. It's not violent, there's no swearing, there's no sex. It's just, I think there is a little bit of swearing, but it just feels kind of juvenile, and not necessarily in a bad way. That's not a bad thing. That adds to the ambiance. We're in the head of this 17-year-old kid, and things are about to go haywire for him. So I gave it 3 stars. So moving on to the fall. No. The fall was really bad. I think I gave it 2 stars because it was short. The problem I had with the fall was just it was terribly paced. It never slowed down. And for those of you who are going to be like, oh, it's a novella, it's not going to slow down. Even short stories have a little breather for us. Like, we go, we catch our breath, we keep going. That was not the case. It was like snap, 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 snap throughout the plot. So this is the fall that is mentioned in the world of Blood and Fire, where everything went wrong. All the dragon eggs are stolen. Why the dragon eggs aren't like protected better, I didn't understand. The pacing was bad. The pacing was the main problem, that it just never slowed down, and it was just constant like zipping through us. Like, it just felt like we were on a motorcycle racing to the end of that plot. And then secondly, the big giant climax just could have been prevented if they guarded the dragon eggs better. So I guess they weren't expecting it to happen, but I mean, come on, security, get your stuff together. So, do I recommend these books? The Fall, I definitely would not recommend starting there. I wouldn't even really recommend reading it. There doesn't really seem the point. Of Blood and Fire, I don't think most people would notice the flaws that I noticed. I don't think most people would know that the prose is constipated. Yeah, I think they get a little bit confused with all the names and all the places and stuff like that, but I don't necessarily think that people who read this kind of stuff would care. I will continue with Of Darkness and Light, but do I recommend Of Blood and Fire? Yeah, it's pretty good for a self-published book. Just give it a chance. Do I recommend The Fall? Not really. So I will be back with a review for Of Blood and Fire after I read it, but I'm just so happy to be back on BookTube because my bronchitis is starting. Like, I'm already short of breath just from talking for 8.5 minutes, but it's been great, and I can't wait to start making videos again. And Of Blood and Fire, 3 stars. The Fall, 2 stars. Ryan Cahill, a little overrated.